Thank you very much once again. I just want to thank the universe, God through the universe, for all his kindness and his mercies that he has bestowed upon us, that he has caused the universal energies and all the celestial beings to guide and protect us and to watch over us throughout the whole week till now. We just want to thank him for everything that has been bestowed upon humanity, for all the life forces, for all the creatures and all the planetary entities, all the trees, all the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and all the various kingdoms, all the four kingdoms that has been created to augment our existence and to make this life on our life on this planet dimension very comfortable and to be able to fulfill our destiny of existence. So I just want to say we thank God through the universal energies and through the universal forces. I also want to thank all of you for your time, your data, your effort, and everything that you are doing to make sure you assimilate enough knowledge to first change your lives, and secondly, to use the knowledge to affect your community, affect your family, affect your children, and to contribute your specialness for the collective transformation of all human existence worldwide. So I just want to say thank you. I just also want to thank all those who have been supporting us in diverse ways. Sometimes I don't want to mention names because I don't know who wants to remain anonymous, but those who have been assisting us, donating to support the cause, I want to say thank you and want to let you know how much your donation is really helping and pushing the agenda. Because in this universe, Bible says that money answers all things, but I will say that money answers some things. So I just want to say thank you. This afternoon I was at site and I was talking to one of the foreman. He's a Muslim, and we were talking about the Kaaba and Islamic religion, and he said like, literally want to mean that money is necessary for the growth and spiritual expansion of human existence. And without money, you cannot worship God well. And it is true, a lot of people do a lot of things that in natural world, if they had the means, they wouldn't have done it. There are people who go to tell lies. There are people who are practicing all sort of vices that you would call a sin. Maybe if they had the means like you had the means, they wouldn't have engaged themselves in such attitude or such conduct. And that is why at the Way Network we advise people that don't be judgmental of people, because maybe if we're in somebody's shoes, experiences what the person is experiencing, you might have even done worse thing than the person is doing. So yes, for scarcity of certain things, people are pushed to take certain decisions which under normal circumstances they may not have taken that decisions. So for the little that you are supporting this organization and how important money is in our world today, we want to say thank you and we are most grateful. And for all who have supported us in kind, any form, it could even be prayer. You understand? It could even be prayer. It could even be good wishes. It could be good desires. Whichever way you are supporting us and giving us energy to make sure that this program is retained and maintained, we say thank you, and we appreciate your time, your givings, your support, your thinking, your energy, and everything. Today, I just want to go straight to the point. We are very little to talk about, and we are continuing the part 3 of what we treated on Wednesday, and that is the functions of the body energy centers in personal or personality development. The functions of the body energy centers in personality development. So basically, we treated certain things on Wednesday, which we are going to look at it. But now, before I go to the topic, I want us to answer. I think I have two questions to address, or 3 questions to address. So I want to answer these questions, and then we'll proceed to what we are going to do for today, which is the final part of the subject we are treating. We've been treating for the past 3 or 4 weeks now. let's take our questions. Okay, question number one from Mr. Mike Danso. He says that how can one merge or synchronize his divine nature to his personality, which is into brackets soul. So how can one synchronize or merge his divine nature to his personality? The truth of the matter is that we must understand what is the divine nature and what is the personality. And when you understand it very well, then sometimes some of the terminologies we use may not literally be necessary. Because if you know that the personality is an emanation or a degradation of the divine nature, then the issue of synchronism or the issue of emergence doesn't come in here. Because what we should understand is that the divine self, which is the higher essence of your beingness, is the ultimate, but it cannot express itself in its raw state because it can never be felt, it can never be touched, it can never be seen. So it has no expression literally, because the divine, which is limitless, which is formless, which is absolute and abstract, can never be experienced, can never be expressed. So it needs some form of solidity in order to express itself for the natural world to be able to experience it. So in that regard, that divine has to degrade a portion of its energy to have density. That's why I told you that when we talk about body is the density of the vital force, which is synonymous to the divine. So this divine nature or this divine vital force would have to degrade a part of itself to create density. Now, in this density formation, then bodies are created. So we have different densities of body. That's why we have 7 different bodies. That literally comes to the physical body, which is the most dense, gross material body. But we have other bodies like the etheric body, we have the astral body, we have the causal body, which is the soul body. Then we have the mental body, lower and upper mental body, and then we have other bodies there, the Buddhic body, then we have the atmic bodies, then so on and so forth. Then we go to the absolute essence. So that is how come there is that solidity for that divine essence to express itself. So there's no synchronism. Now, what is happening? The synchronism or the emergence you are talking about is as a result of thought, where we have oriented our thought. So because our thought is kind of detached from the divine essence and does not take instruction from the divine, we so think that the personality is separate and the divine is also separate. But it's one and the same thing, percolating down in different levels of density, expressing itself in different forms and different ways. So at certain points, the same divine energy degrades itself and expresses itself as thoughts. Then the same divine energy degrades itself and expresses itself as emotions. Then the same divine energy percolates downwards and expresses itself as will, desire. Then it comes to the level of the senses, sight, smell, touch, feel, and all those things. Then literally we get a gross, dense material body. So it's the same divine energy coming down at different levels. If I want to explain this to you, how do I explain it? Like, say, for instance, when you have water, a certain temperature, you're going to have steam, okay? When the temperature is high, you're going to have steam. At the same time, the same water, at the steam level, when the temperature is much more higher, you're going to have something like vapor. And then when the temperature is much more higher, you feel the heat frequency, but you never have the steam and you can never see the vapor no more. But it's the same water that is going through different phases of metamorphosis as a result of the degradation or the enhancement of the energy. Now, the same water at certain temperature, which is a cooler temperature, will begin to condense. Okay, you get something like frost or snow, what you call snow or frost. Then at certain temperature, which a much more cooler temperature, that frost becomes crystals. And at a much more colder temperature, those crystals now become solid ice blocks, which is, we can relate to the gross dense material body. But all these stages of manifestation, it is still the same water manifesting itself under different conditions, creating different forms of bodies. So is the vital energy or the divine essence. With that divine essence, at its pure essence, it is neutral. Okay, but to be able to be felt, to be able to be related to, it has to take form, because don't forget that in this gross material body, it is only form that is being felt. Anything beyond form is more of an abstract nature, and we cannot really deal with subjective thinking. We in the tangible world, we deal with objective things, not subjective things. And likewise, we can't deal with abstract things, because the physical senses cannot deal with abstract issues. It needs to deal with more issues which are more concrete. So in order for that abstract nature of the divine to come to a dimension or a level where the world of reality can deal with it, then it has to move from that abstract nature or the subjective nature to a nature of objectiveness or concrete nature. And the effort of getting it, that is where we have that various degradation, in which that degradation involves the personality. So when we talk about the personality, we are talking about the intellect, the emotions, the will, the desire, all constitute the personality, literally, which becomes a subset to what we call the soul. So the divine nature creates the soul, manifests the soul, and then expresses itself through the soul. And the soul then further creates the material body, the gross material body, and then the soul then expresses that same divine nature through the material body. Now people can now talk, express emotions, anger, bitterness, jealousy, love, kindness, forgiveness, compassion, non-judgmentalism, and all the virtues and the anti-virtues that you may experience. So now the virtues we call godly, the anti-virtues we call evil. That is all satanic. That's all there is to this universe. So they are one but opposite to each other in terms of vibrational frequency. One is cause and one is fine. One is negative and one is positive. Like when you have the normal line, when you went to school, we did mathematics. When you have the normal line, there's a zero in the middle. The zero represents neutrality. That represents divinity. That's why some time ago I was talking about the fact that 0 and 1. So the zero in the middle represents neutrality. It holds the normal line in a balance. The right side of the normal line is naturally positive polarity, and then the left side of the normal line is naturally negative polarity. So from the left side going, you have -1, -2 onwards into infinity, and then on the right side of your normal line, it is positive 1, 2, 3, 4 into infinity. But it is the essence, which is the zero in the middle, that holds it in a balance. That becomes a pivot point to be able to hold the normal line in a balance. So depending on the influence of what is resonating from the zero, would either determine it to be positive or determine it to be negative. Now, all the numbers that you see them resonating from the essence of the zero is still part of the zero, but it is creating its forms in occurrence. And that is where we are talking about the synchronism or emergence. When all comes together, literally we all end at zero, because everything will end back at nothingness. So there's nothing to synchronize. But I think then there's nothing to merge. But what I would say is the alignment, which is most important. But it's the same thing. So when you say synchronize or merge, that means it has to get back into it as one. But it has always been the same thing, expressing itself in different ways. So when you're going back, you don't merge literally, but what you said, those energies or that state of consciousness will be shed off, so that as it shed off and it goes in that reverse order, then only the essence will be maintained, and that is the same one thing. But the alignment, I would prefer to use the word alignment than synchronism, is because when the numbers are given or the orientations are done, there's a tendency that there will be a cut off or disalignment. Now, the reason why these degradations were formed is for that essence to be able to express its energy through the degraded form, so that it will be felt and have impact in this material world. Now, when there's a disalignment, the energy is coming, but it can never come into expression, because there's no alignment for energy to move through it. So there's something like a cutoff point or like a break in it. So that's why sometimes we're talking about the flow of the energy in series. And then some of the electrical engineers on the platform stated that when there is a cutoff point or there is a disalignment in the series connection of an energy, when the power is coming from the source, where there's that cutoff point or the disconnect or the disalignment, all the series that is connected beneath the disalignment will not have the power, cannot connect to the power. So I think what we should be looking at right now is not really whether we can synchronize or not, because whether we like it or not, we are going to synchronize. The synchronism is there. It's not even there in the first place. It's only happening in our thought, because we've never been separated from God. So there's no synchronism in a way. It is in the deception and illusion of our thought, the way we focus and where we focus our thought pattern, that makes it elusively appear that there is separation. So there has to be an emergence, but there's never been emergence. The slightest separation from divinity, there's not going to be any existence. That's what Bible says, something that in Him we live and move and have our being. So we have never disconnected from God. So there's no emergence anywhere, because we have everything has always existed within that God consciousness. It's like you're saying that I don't know how to put this expression, but it's like saying that, how can I get back to my awareness or my consciousness? Because the truth of the matter is that you have never been separated from your consciousness. Because the day you separate from your consciousness, that day you are going to die, or that day you are going to get out of existence. So the point is that we have never been separated from our consciousness. Our consciousness and us are one and the same thing, but the way we focus our thoughts create an illusion that we have been separated. But there's a tendency, so separation is impossible, but there's a tendency that there will be disalignment. Because when there's a disalignment, then there's no friend. And the problem of most of the people in this world is as a result of the disalignment. So instead of, when things happen, instead of going inside for solutions, they look elsewhere for solutions, and they become disconnected because they are not aligned to the flow of the cosmic current. So then once you are disaligned and disconnected, what happens is that there'll be a lot of problems, a lot of marital issues, a lot of children issues, spouse issues, there's a lot of work issues, and you wouldn't know how to solve it. And bit by bit, the whole problem begin to overwhelm you. When this problem begin to overwhelm you, then it leads to what? Anxiety, it leads to stress. And then when stress has culminated to its highest apex, it leads to depression. And when depression is not properly handled, then literally it can lead to some mental issues, and then literally it can lead to suicidal conditions. So all those, some of them you see that they commit suicide and all those things. It's not their fault. And you cannot judge them wrongly. There are issues that they cannot handle as a result of their disconnection. And all the external hope and confidence they have in different sources fail them, and there's nothing to look up to, and then eventually ends up in that condition. So we must always keep to our alignment, not necessarily our synchronism. Now, so the question, how do we align? So how do you synchronize? Now I'm switching the question to how do we align? So the only way we align is very simple. And it's so simple that when you talk about it, people think like, oh, is this guy serious? But the only way to align is to change the way we think. That's all. There's nothing to what are you going to do. You're not going to bath any oil, you're not going to bath any soap, you're not going to bath anything. It won't change your alignment. The only thing you can do to change the alignment and to switch the alignment is to change the way you think. That's what the Bible says, that for be ye transformed by the renewal of your thinking. So you have to renew the way you think. Before you were thinking outside, and that resulted in the disalignment. So all you need to do is to change the way you think and begin to think inside. Realize that there's greatness inside you. Realize that there is divinity inside you. Realize that there's limitless knowledge inside you. And everything, learn to keep quiet and go inside and ask yourself questions. Because whatever you say, whatever you do, the greatest and most profound solutions to human existence and human problem has always come from within, and has always come to the mind. It never came from elsewhere. It has always been from. Even if, granted, that you come to me and I give you a solution, granted, you come to me with a problem and I give you a solution. One way or the other, no matter how we look at it, the solution will still come from within. Because if you're unable to go within, somebody will have to go within and get you the solution. So no matter how you look at it, the solution has always come from within. Either it will come from a within of an external source, or within from your own internal source. The reason why it comes from within from an external source is because you have failed to align yourself. So you look for elsewhere. So the person who has aligned himself will just connect on your own problem and then download the information and then go do this one, the problem will be solved. But whatever he told you, you could have done it yourself if you had your own alignment. So no matter how you look at it, the solution the solution to humanity has never in the history of mankind come from outside of humanity, because it's always going to be an idea, and that idea will not drop like a rain from the sky. It's going to drop into the intellect of somebody. That's what the Bible says, that don't forget that it is I, God, that gives man the ability, which means the idea to create. You get the whole thing? So it is the earlier we begin to learn to align ourselves and begin to believe in ourselves, the better it is for us. So that is for Mr. Michael Danso's question. The second question is Chief. You're going to take only 2 questions and then we'll go on. Because of the program we'll be having subsequently, there are a lot of things you need to learn. So we need to bridge some of these things, and then when we get there, we can have more expanded understanding about it. So the second question comes from Chief 1. He said, "Good day, sir. I am a traditionalist. I wanted to know why real realization is key because you always talk about it. Secondly, can I realize myself even when I am a traditionalist?" Okay, well, when you talk about you being a traditionalist, we need to ascertain what kind of traditionalist, because there's a clear difference between a traditionalist and a fetish. So we need to know what traditionalist you're talking. Are you talking about traditionalist in the concept of a fetish priest, or a traditionalist somebody who believes in nature, who believes in the ways of their fathers? You understand? So I cannot give an exact answer, because the definition for traditionalists in my understanding and my concept has 2 branches. They're the traditionalists who are fetish in nature. Okay, so they believe in using the traditional things and all those things in their spiritual practice. Because if you're asking a question from that spiritual angle, that's how I'm understanding your traditional worship. Either 2, we are all traditionalists, because we all have traditions we came from. We have our homes, we have our cultures, and we have our traditions. So either 2, even the white world, whether white, Chinese, Indian, whatever it is, we are all traditionalists in some way. Because when you come to my area, in my father's house, maybe the way they do things will be different from my mother's house. You understand? Because my mother is an Akan, my father is a Gan. You get the whole thing. So the traditions may differ. So I then must be very versatile to acquaint myself with my mother's traditions and acquaint myself with my father's traditions. And that has no bearing on our spiritual practice or realizing ourselves. Because everybody who has ever realized themselves is a traditionalist, because that person came from one tradition or the other. So if you're a traditionalist, from the general traditional point of view, it has no bearing on your self-realization. Now, but if you are talking about traditionalists in the concept of fetishism or fetish practice, then we need to explain a little bit better, in the sense that, not to say fetishism is evil, that's not what I want to say, so please get me clear. We are dealing with different resonation energies, okay? Now, there are energies which are of love and kindness, which are more finer energies, and there are energies which are of coarse vibrational frequencies, which are more brutal energies or non-benevolent energies. When they say they are non-benevolent energies, you are not saying they are evil energies. That's not what I am saying. I'm saying that they are non-benevolent energies because their vibratory frequencies are coarse. Now, most of these, in quote, traditional practices in terms of fetish deals more with these non-benevolent coarse energies, which are more of a lower vibratory frequencies, and they are more dense in nature compared to self-realization, which is more finer and which is more sublime. So, as Jesus put it, you can never put a new wine into an old wineskin, and you can never tie a new cloth to an old cloth. You understand? So, if you are a traditionalist in terms of the concept of fetish practice, you can attain enlightenment. You understand? You can attain and you can realize yourself, but the truth of the matter is that you have to switch bottoms, because you can never serve 2 masters at the same time. Because most of the traditional practice are externalized. Okay, whilst self-realization is internalized. So it's going to be two opposing frequencies. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying you give up that practice, but you have to distinguish and place each one where it belongs and know how to arrange and align yourself. Along the line, when you are pursuing whether to stop this or to continue with this, you will know for yourself. It is not in my place to tell you what to do or what not to do, because it's your own journey, it's your own path you're embarking on. If your karmic retribution with this traditional way of life is not fully attained, it will be very difficult to break away from it. And even if you break away from it, you're still going to come back to it. And this is one of the reasons why people become born again. They are converted to become born again, and they have to go back to their sins because they are not done with their sins. The soul is not done with that sin. If it's a womanizer, the soul is not done with the womanizing. If a drunkard, the soul is not done with the drinking. You understand? So we don't need to convict people. We need to convict. People must be convicted. You understand? Rather than being convicted. You understand? So when you are convicted, it's an inner decision. It's an inner experience. To be convicted is an external activity. So I can convict you, but you have to convict yourself. You understand? And the reason why when you go to court, they use the term convicted is because if the court is really honest and have due process, a due favorable balanced process, by the time the case is over, you convict yourself. That's why the judges convict people. Because they convict people based on the fact that so when the judge reads out his or her sentence, you accept it wholeheartedly, and sometimes you even plead justice with mercy. The reason why you plead temper justice with mercy because you know that what you have done is wrong. Or the reason why you plead guilty with explanation because you convict yourself of the act you have done. So it's not the judge that convicts you, it's you that convicts yourself. And that is why we have to practice non-judgmentalism. So that is how it is. So when you embark on the journey and you begin to do your own practice, then you can draw the lines. You may have internal guidance, what to do and what to do. There are even certain practices they will ask you to stop. There are certain things you do, they will ask you to stop. Internally, they will ask you to stop. But it all depends on how honest you are with the practice. Because this whole thing is the most simplest thing to attain, but it's the most demanding thing because it needs a lot of commitment, patience, and dedication. Haphazard way of life will not make you get the most out of it. And it's a problem for a lot of people because the mind has always, for years, has been haphazard in doing things. So when you tell somebody that every day sit for 1 hour or 2 hours and meditate every day consistently, it becomes a problem because the mind has never been disciplined in any way. You get the whole thing? Because we have never ever developed a good relationship with our senses and our intellect in order to discipline it and to have a good control over it. And this, our senses, has always been on autopilot, doing things on their own. Wanted to see when they want to see, wanted to smell when they want to smell, wanted to taste when they want to taste, wanted to feel when they want to feel. And they are not being controlled. And when we talk about discipline literally means having a good control and good relationship with your senses. And that's why the church is struggling with discipline, because they think discipline is a character. It's not a character. That people must adopt the character of discipline. Discipline is not a character, but discipline is rather a way of life by which one develops his personality so that he will have good relation and control over his senses. When you can control your sight, and if you're a man and you can't look at women, you don't look at women anyhow, then you are disciplined when it comes to sight. If you can control your tongue and you don't want to eat anything you see, then you become disciplined over then there's discipline on your tongue. You understand? If you don't give in to anything you have the feeling for, then you become disciplined over that area. So discipline is the act of having the intellect, having a good relationship and control over the senses. And until we the church or Christians reach that dimension where the intellect is trained in such a way that it has absolute control and a good relationship with the senses, we're still going to fight with discipline issues. So there are a lot of things when you begin to practice and you are very, very committed and persistent with the practice, you're going to have internal guidance. There are a lot of things some of us would have wished to do it, honestly speaking, because some of the things people are doing, we can do better. And we can do better that we are not saying we can do better because we have done it before and we know we are better than these people. You get the whole thing. But because of certain level of discipline, because of our relationship with our senses, we are able to overcome that aspect. Yesterday or this afternoon, I was talking to Abraham. I was saying, look, we have been common before. So you can't beat me in business unless I say I don't mind you, because we have been there. We know how they play that game. You understand? But I don't desire it right now no more, and because I see the other side of it, and it's easy for me to do away with it because I went through the practice to be able to develop my personality, to control that aspect of the sense that drags you into that. For your quest for excessive luxury, extravagant, and affluent lifestyle, when you're able to develop the senses that control that part of your emotion, then there was no need, you understand, to be a crook and to kind of extort people, exploit people, and all those. You wouldn't have the desire, because now you know there's something which is more profound and something which is more bigger than just sensual and material gratification. And this thing can only be attained when you are able to develop a good relationship and control over that aspect of your sense. So there are a lot of people who are doing what they are doing in terms of marriages, in terms of business, in terms of family life. They are doing all those things, and you keep on. Wives are fighting husbands, husbands are fighting wives, and there's chaos in the family, and it appears the person cannot stop. The person cannot stop, not because he wished to be in that situation. Haven't you seen people who go and they get drunk, and when the day breaks, they're like, some people, I don't know why I drink and all those things. Some of them even will cry. But when day breaks and it is nighttime, they will go back and drink again. It's not their fault. They've not developed that willpower of the intellect to control that aspect of the senses and to have a good relationship with our senses. You get the whole thing. So these are some of the things when you get to understand how it functions. You're always patient with people, and you try to help them with energy, knowing that everything is energy. And once the person has not harnessed the energy to that level, there's nothing you can do that the person will stop. There's nothing you can do. And the point is, the danger of this whole thing is that the more you fight the person, the more the person does it. The more you fight the person, the more the person does it. Because anything you fight to give it more energy to persist. I don't know how to explain this concept to you. Let's say if Bramosi sitting in front of me is running towards me, okay, and as he's running towards me, I intend to resist him from running towards him because I oppose him. The only thing he can do is to gather moment to push me out of the way. So as long as I oppose and resist him, he's going to gather more momentum to push me out of the way. And this is the whole concept of flooding. Okay, when the water is flowing, okay, and there's no resistance to the path of the water flows smoothly and goes its way. But when you begin to place blocks in the way of the water will gather more momentum to push anything that is in its way. So anytime something is happening and you don't like it and you begin to resist it, the only thing you are doing is that you are sending more energy to the thing for the thing to persist and to overcome. But when you allow the way to flow and you allow its way to flow, what happens is that naturally that energy will be exhausted. Like a water which is flowing, if you don't put things in the path of the water and you allow the water flow smoothly, gradually the intensity and the vigorousness of the flow of the energy of the water will begin to go down, will begin to subside. But the more you put blocks in the way of the water, the more the flood heaves up, and then it gets devastated, goes to areas that it doesn't need to get to. And this is some of the reasons why a lot of people have gotten their children wayward. A lot of people have gotten marital breakup and divorces and all those things, because it's a group and now they know now woman in chop money or woman in Adriane, you're not serving because he's gone for another wife and all those things, chasing another woman, and then you are resisting it. And when you resist, what you do is that you are creating more momentum for your husband to go. So a bit of a cock around with you. But when you learn to allow the energy to pass by, or by you pretend as if say you don't even care. Oh, honey, what are you going to eat? There's this, there. Okay, fine. Your shower, your water is there, and all those is. It's like, hey. So that energy will begin to diminish gradually. But you begin to ask himself questions because you are not opposing it. But once your husband gets home, Obama, excuse my language, how do you call it? Your friend then. Obama German 4, excuse my language. And all those things. Then your husband passes, you block him. Then when he's fed up, he takes his shirt. He's on singlet. He's come from work. He takes put it at his neck. Or from our side. He's gone. You see, so anything you resist, you give it more energy to persist. When things are happening in your life and you don't want them to happen to you, and you want that energy to cease, just be oblivion to it. And that's the difficult aspect, but that's the trick, and it works magic. It's just going to fade out gradually like that. Back in the days when we were in school, and then there's a nickname, and they give you a nickname, and you don't like the nickname, the more you begin to react to the nickname anytime they call you, the more they enjoy calling you. But when they call you once and you don't really mind, they call you twice, you don't respond, they call you twice, you don't respond, after a while, people stop calling you. But when you begin to resist, to let them know you don't want the nickname, then you give them more energy to keep calling. When they see you, even in the house, they'll be shouting and be calling you with that name. So this is the principle of life. So what you don't want in your life, don't resist it. Don't let the energy flow. And when you get into meditation, you understand some of these things. That when you are meditating and thoughts are coming, don't fight the thought. Because the more you fight the thought, the more the thought expands. But allow the thought to come and go. Let the thought flow by itself. Naturally, the thought begins to fray out. And that's why a lot of people say that when I'm meditating, I can't do that. Because when the thought can keep fighting the thought. And once you fight the thought begins to expand, begins to create its own energy field within your subconsciousness, and then clouds your tranquility, clouds your stillness, and then you realize that I can't concentrate no more. So this is how it is like. So when you begin to do your own practice, things will begin to flow on earth itself, and then things that you need to stop, you'll be instructed to stop. Don't force yourself, I'm confirm away. No, I won't eat this again. I won't do that. No. This is not it. Just be your natural self. I remember some guy came to me some time ago and he said, "Oh, he's a drunkard." And then I said, "No, don't worry. When you come from meditation, you can drink and come." Because it's not for me to tell him to stop. But the moment I use the word stop, I create a resistance in his mind. Once I create the word resistance in his mind, then the intellect was, why should I stop? Once the intellect asks him, why should I stop? Then it has created another energy. Once that energy is created, it begins to expand. The desire begins to expand. So that's okay, fine. No, you come and meditate. It's fine. No, we'll do your initiation. You don't need to stop it. People come, so they told me, I want to be very honest with you. For women matter there. So I said, no problem. Every man loves women. Just that the difference is that one is disciplined, one is not disciplined. But every man loves women. If a man doesn't love a woman, then a man will not marry. So once a man marries a woman, every man loves a woman. But the point is the difference is those who are disciplined to control the edge and those who are unable to control the edge. But all men are the same. So come, let's meditate. After a while, I think that occasion he stopped. You understand? Because he once told me, actually, he called me on phone. He's outside. He said, "But sit down. I don't see it's a total waste of time, total waste of energy." And now I think when I sit down, I become more happier. Yes, at the level he thought he would not have that peace and tranquility in women, but that is not what it is. Some thought he's going to have peace and tranquility in the drinking. He's going to drink out his problems. But when you wake up in the morning, the problems stare at you more. You see, so these are some of the things you don't need to oppose anything in your life. So if you're a traditionalist, you're a fetish, and you want to begin self-realize, the most important thing, you just begin it. It does not place an impediment. But you must understand you are dealing with two different energies. So you don't box the two practices together. You make time for your meditation practice, and then you make time for your traditional practice. And know that if you understand the virtues and conditions of this transcendental path, you know that there are certain things when you do, it really affects your ascension. For instance, when you spill blood, animal blood, whatever, chicken, gold, whatever, when you keep on spilling this blood becomes vibrational frequencies, and then it affects your ascension process. There are things when you engage in which are not love and kindness and forgiveness, and maybe somebody comes to you, a fetish person, someone comes to you and you are doing this, and they say, kill somebody for me, make somebody mad for me, and then you do it. All these activities and conversations are energies which is imprinted on your thought. Now when you sit to meditate, all this guilty consciousness comes into play and then becomes an impediment and a hold on your ascension and attaining stillness, so that eventually you can transcend the mind to be able to have your own inner experience and then enjoy inner peace, tranquility, and clarity. So that's where you look at some of these things and you know how to put what in its place, so that when you sit down to meditate, gradually as you go on, as I said, you'll be having directions on what to do and what not to do. So I think that is the best I can say with regards to this subject. Any other matters, if somebody have any contribution with regard, or any further additions or other opinions regarding this matter, the person can bring forth. But if you're a traditionalist, you're a fetish, whatever it is, you're not saying it's bad. It's just that you're operating on the lower frequency, and we want you to get to the higher frequency so that you can use the knowledge of the herbs or whatever you have. You can now use it better. You get the whole thing. But we are not saying it's evil. Everything is aligned towards goodness. You get the whole thing. The only danger in it is this: that when you decide to worship that deity, then that one day I have to tell you honestly, as a brother, out of love, then there's a problem. And the reason why there is a problem is because you are reducing your consciousness. It's because you are reducing your consciousness to the level of something which is much more lower than your attainment. It's like you are the son of the king, and then you go into the commoners and begin to eat and begin to identify yourself with the commoners, and then you live your life like the commoner. That's how it is like. And then if you don't even take time, the commoners then begin to worship you and begin to pay obeisance to the commoners, whilst you are the prince of that country or that jurisdiction. And so that is the problem. That's what the Bible says, that it didn't say thou shalt not use spirits. It said thou shalt not bow down to any graven image, or thou shalt not worship any graven image, because all those graven images were made by men, were created by men, and the energies were infused into them by men. So men must not worship them. When a man worships a deity, when a man worships a god, okay, when a man worships it, the man loses his self-identity, loses his self-nature, and loses his divinity to something which is more inferior and which is more coarse. And they are looking onto us for survival. So we have to be a pace setters for them. You understand? To help them elevate their consciousness from that coarse energy level to be able to come into the dimension of love. They are looking up to us. Everything in creation is looking up to us. Everything in creation is looking up to us, just to make sure that they evolve into that level of consciousness. So that if they don't evolve into that level of consciousness, then there's going to be a problem. You understand? And this subject, this matter, this I'm talking about is very, very important and very simple, because this is this whole journey of spirituality. This whole journey of our existence, this is where the whole clause is. You understand? So the point is that as divine as you are, as hallowed as you are in the image and likeness of God, under no circumstance should you bow down to anything created by your kind. Under no circumstance should you bow down to anything created by your kind. When I say by your kind, anything made by man, you should not succumb to it. That is why it's a sin, literally that word sin, or a violation of the natural order, for you to become subservient and derogate yourself and degrade yourself to the level just for the gain of material thing. Then that material thing, you're bowing your energy to that material thing. So somebody, if he's working with somebody, because of what the person, maybe the person pays him at the end of the month, or the person feeds him at the end of the month. When the person is doing something wrong and he says, oh, it's okay, boss, it's all right, it's okay, oh, no, it's fine, it's fine. When you do that, indirectly what you do, it's just like somebody who is bound down to a shrine. Because of the losses you make in terms of materialism, you bow down your integrity and your conscience. That when the person is doing something, maybe you work with somebody who's a big guy and he's helping you, gives you money for your contract to be able to execute your contract. Anytime you need help, you go to the person. And the person treats a poor person in a very bad way, and that derogates human dignity. And you're unable to tell the person, no, you don't do that. Because you are afraid that when you tell him, he said you are siding with that his enemy, because that is going to throw you out of his good books. And you do that, what you do is just like you're bound down to a graven image. Because you are selling your conscience and your self-dignity and your divine nature for something which is material, which is made by man, because money was made by man. And these are the problems people have. So people say they don't do fetish worship, they don't do fetishism, but they are doing so in different ways and different forms, because they are bound down their conscience. They are bound down their dignity as sublime beings created in the image and likeness of God for the purposes of material gain. So that which is right and good, that they have to uphold and stand and defend, and that which is true, they compromise it just to have material favor. And such people, excuse my language, they are no less than operating within the animal tendency. Because when you can't stand for that which is truth, and you can't stand for that which is love, and you can't stand for that which is not discriminatory, then you have a problem as a person. So we don't have to bow down our dignity. We don't have to bow down our awareness. We don't have to bow down our consciousness for anything which is material or anything which is sensual. So if you want to go that trajectory, that is the only difference. With the fetish traditionally they use herbs, or they say we also use those herbs and all those things, but it's not with the consciousness of bowing down to any graven image, that you pay obeisance to that entity or that entity that dwells in that graven image, or that graven image serving as a conduit to that entity or that deity. You don't have to, because the absolute essence, the ultimate love, sublime intelligence is your very essence. So please, let's take note of this. Now, the next thing we are going to talk about is the topic we have for today. I think we'll do away with the questions and then we'll do the topic, and then we finish with the part 3 of the part 2 we did on Wednesday. So we are going to deal with the part 3. So in the part 2 that we did on Wednesday, we continue with what we did last Saturday, where we are talking about the functions of the energy centers in our personal development, the various energy centers in our being that kind of help us develop our personality, or the role they play in the development of our personality. And I told you that the energy centers in our body constitute our personality, because these are the various centers in our body that inhabit or kind of hold energies that make us functional when it comes to our personality, which is still in alignment with the essence, because it's a degraded part of our essence. And I think on Monday we talk about the various ages, the energy it resonates in the functions of the energy that flows there and what blocks the energy. So on Wednesday we started from age 14 to age 21, okay, and we talk about that at age 14 to age 21. What develops at age 14 to 21 is what we call the solar plexus, the energy center, what we call the solar plexus. And what it does is that it exploits personality development. Okay, so when you are within a solar plexus level, when the solar plexus begin to develop, that is where the personality of who you are begins to develop, and that is where you begin to comprehend who you are. You try to understand who you truly are, and that intelligence or that energy that drives you to pursue and to find out who you are is the energy which is coming from the solar plexus. And this takes place, we said, it takes place from the age 14 to age 21. And we said that the energy that flows from the solar plexus is the will or the willpower. The will or the willpower. And the counter energy that kind of disintegrates the positive energy that flows, which is the willpower, is shame. So shame disintegrates the personality. Shame disintegrates your self-awareness. Shame disintegrates your willpower. So when we are talking about personality, that's why when you feel shy of yourself, you feel shy of who you are, that means your energy or your willpower regarding your personality has been depleted. And then we also talk about the fact that from that age, we go to the age 21 to 28 years, and that is the heart energy center or the heart chakra. And that chakra, actually, that is where emotions, which is the concept of love and being loved, it begins to generate. Okay, that happens at the age of 21 to 28 years. So realize that at the age of 21 to 28 years, you are looking for, some girls are looking for boyfriends, some boys are looking for girlfriends. There are hormones, and then sexual hormones and all those things are on the peak, and all those things, they are active. You tell them don't go out, you go out, don't play with this boy, we play with this boy. All these activities which is going on, it is just the expression of the heart chakra telling them that they've reached the level of love. So as a parent, as I said it on Wednesday, as a parent, when you see your child get to this level, you have to give him that love energy, because it's something he or she cannot break away from. Okay, but when you're able to kind of have good relationship with your child right from childhood, and when you reach that age level where that 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, where it needs that energy of love that emotion begins to resonate and begins to activate and begins to grow up within that age bracket, within the heart chakra, you can able to fit in and then fill the gap and give that child the kind of love and the kind of affection he needs, and the child can now express back that affection to you, so that the child doesn't seek for that affection and doesn't seek for that love outside. So these are the few things we learned on Wednesday, and we also learned the fact that the vibration frequency which is released at that place is the energy of love, and what actually kills that energy, or what actually opposes that energy, is grief. Now, we also talk about the fact that, and I'm being brief because we've treated it on Wednesday already. That's not the main topic. Today, we are going to take the last two part of it, and then we'll come to a close. Then we also talk about the fact that the last aspect of it was from the age 28 to age 35, which is another 7-year period. Okay, and that place, what develops is your throat chakra, or your throat energy center, and that is when you begin to develop communication. And that's why most of the time people get job, when they're looking for job vacancies, is between that age range. Sometimes it happens a little bit earlier, but most of the time the most crucial employment age gap is from the age 28 years to the age 35 years. When you're much older than 35 years, it's quite very difficult to get unemployment. Okay, so that is because that's where you begin to develop your communication skills, your ability, and all those things. How to communicate with people, how to dialogue with people, how to interact with people, how to influence people through speaking, and all those things. How that is when you begin to learn to express yourself. You go to friends, you go to club, you sit down, converse, you go to programs, you go to workshop, interact with people. But that is the aspect of the energy center, which is the truth energy center, or the truth chakra, which is being developed. And then we also said that the energy that resonates from that truth chakra, or that truth energy center, is truth. If you remember, we said that it is truth that resonates from that side, and then what blocks it is lies. You understand? So, and I spoke to the fact that even sometimes when you're doing connection for spiritual connection for somebody, and it's somebody who doesn't tell truth, when the energy is ascending like this, sometimes when the energy gets here, it begins, and there's a blockage there, where the person begins to cough. And he said the person cannot, but people will be coughing during initiation, or will be coughing because of that energy. There's that blockage, that is obstruction of the flow of the current. So the person will go to, sometimes when the person has a problem with love, the person has some kind of bitterness and jealousy, all those ill emotions stuck in the person's emotions. When you are doing the connection, when the person begins to read the light, the person begins to palpitate, or the person then begins to have problems with breathing, and the person begins to struggle to breathe and have palpitations and all those things, and that tells you that the person is having problem. So for instance, when I'm doing connection for somebody, which literally is the word initiation, I can just watch you. I can know which energy center is porous and which energy center is weak, or which energy center has to be worked on, due to how your body and your reactions are during the process of this. Somebody, when you do initiation, he wants to wake up and go and take water because he says he's feeling dryness in his throat and all those. It all gives you signals of what the problems are with those people's energy center. So that is the where we ended on last Wednesday. So today we are going to talk about the last two, which is the last 7, that makes up the 7 energy centers, and then we draw the curtain on this topic, the functions of the body energy centers in personality development. So when we draw the curtain, then I'm going to take 1 or 2 of them, and then the most needed part in all the energy center, which is the most relevant for our spiritual development and ascension, then we'll talk about it. So basically, now from the age 35, so we ended last Wednesday, we ended at 28 years to 35 years, which is another 7-year window. Now, for today, we are going to look at from the age 35 to the age 42 years, which is another 7-year window period. And this 7-year window period, we're going to look at which energy center is being developed in that 7-year window period. But don't forget that when you look at what we have done, the previous session and then this past Wednesday session we did, you realize that it all has to do with 7-year window period. So it starts with 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21, 21 to 28, and 28 to 25. That's what we ended on Wednesday. So today we are looking at 35 to 42, which is another 7-year window period. And with that 35 to 42, what develops is what we call the pineal gland, or people call it the seat of the soul. I think in the 17th century, the French philosophers called it the seat of the soul. And then other people in the Eastern traditions like India and other places, they call it the third eye. The reason why they call it the third eye is because of the nature where it is located and the kind of pattern which is formed at the area where it is located. That is why they call it the third eye. And the reason why they also call it the soul is because that is where the intellect holds this. It's at the apex of the personality, and that personality which constitutes the soul, that is the gateway or the energy that holds it. That's why they call it the seat of the soul, because it's dealing with the electrical field. That aspect of your energy center deals with the electrical current that flows into your body. Don't forget that I've already taught the fact that we are electromagnetic beings, we are electrical beings and magnetic beings, and then our electrical beings is controlled by our nervous system through the seat of the pituitary gland, and then the electrical field is controlled by our pineal gland that is coming from the crown chakra. So the pineal gland, what it does is that it connects to our electrical energy, taps to any electrical energy, and then sends that energy down. Now, with the pineal gland, it deals with understanding. Okay? Because the pineal gland, where it is located, like the throat, which is located here, and then the heart, which is located, the solar plexus, which is located here, with the pineal gland, it sits. We call it, sometimes they call it the eyebrow center. Others people call it the eyebrow center. So when you look at your eyebrow, this eyebrow like this, you bring your hand about just about 1.5 inches up here. That's where you have your pineal gland here. Okay, that's where you have your pineal gland here. Okay, just about 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches in between your eyebrow. That's where the pineal gland is, and it sits in the two sides of the brain, because you know that we have the left brain and then we have the right brain. So we have the right hemisphere of the brain and you have the left hemisphere of the brain, and we all know that the left hemisphere of the brain controls the masculine aspect of your body, and then the right hemisphere of your brain controls the feminine aspect of your body, and that's what's called the cross matrix of the human body. So the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, and that is what you call the cross matrix of the human body. And then what happens is that the pineal gland, okay, sits in the center of those two hemispheres of the brain. So what happens is that when the energy is coming and it passes through the crown chakra, it hits the pineal gland, and then the energy is splitted into two: masculine energy and then feminine energy, because now it is entered into the realm of duality. And once it has entered into the realm of duality, the feminine must take its energy and then the masculine must assimilate its energy, so that you can function well within this world of duality or this world of reality. That is what the pineal gland does. So the pineal gland deals with darkness and deals with light. You get it? And one is feminine and one is masculine. So what the pineal gland does mostly is to assess light and assess darkness. That's all the pineal gland does. We are going to go much more deeper into the aspect of the pineal gland. And what it gives you, that it gives you insight. Okay, so when somebody has a clarity of pineal gland and then the pineal gland of the person is not calcified, the person has a much more profound and deeper insight. So you can have two students sitting down on your table, teaching them the same thing. One will have a better insight when you should ask questions. The way at which one will explain the question or give the answer and give scenarios to further explain the answer or to explain the question, it gives you a more deeper and a clearer insight than another student. That's the difference in their pineal gland, the activation or the functionality of their pineal gland. The one who is unable to give a much more deeper and clearer insight, even though he understands it or he or she understands it, hasn't got that activation of the pineal gland in order to have a much more deeper insight, because maybe there's a classification of the person's pineal gland, either to what the person eats or the kind of thing the person consumes and all those, and that kind of weakens the functionalities of the pineal gland. So that is how we get insight as people. All the insight you are looking for and everything you are looking for in life must be based on insight. So you must have insight to everything you are doing. And there's a difference between insight and intuition. Okay, so there's a clear difference between insight and intuition. So what we derive from our pineal gland is insight, and this insight is blocked by illusion. So the energy that comes from the pineal gland is insight, and what blocks the insight energy is illusion. And that is why a lot of people are eluded in life. And once you live in the realm of illusion, your insight becomes depleted. And you can only live in the realm of illusion when you lose your insight to things. So anything you are told, because you don't have insight, anything you are told, you accept it. And that is a problem of majority of the people in the world today. A lot of people have no insight. They don't know their left from their right. They don't know right from wrong. They don't know good from evil. They are just swimming in the pool of the masses. And they have no insight. So they buy into anything they are told, because they are trapped within the realm of illusion. So anything they talk about, they just buy into it. Anything they talk about, they just buy into it. And when things are happening, they cannot sit down to think and go inside to be able to use that discriminative selective intelligence. Because to be able to have a proper insight, you must use the aspect of the pineal gland that gives you the ability to discriminate and select intelligences. You understand? And that discriminative intelligence, everybody has it, but one needs to activate it. And the only way you can activate it, it is through the exercise of the pineal gland. And the only exercise, apart from food and certain yoga exercises, the only exercise that actually activates the pineal gland effortlessly, it is through meditation. You may not see how profound and powerful meditation is, because it is an actionless activity. You sit at one place and nothing is happening. You don't see anything happening. But I always tell people this: when you sit down in calmness and in stillness, there's so much going on. You understand? Because there's so much power in stillness than in action. That's what people doesn't know. There's so much power in stillness than in action. Because stillness is the engine that drives action. When people act without stillness, the people act foolishly, and it's vain action. But the people who act and get profound results are people who spend much time in stillness. That's why one preacher man said, when you spend more time in waiting with the Lord, you spend less time with the world solving problems. So that is how it works like. So there's more power harnessed in stillness than in action. And more is done in stillness than it is done in action. And that is why those who are in action without stillness have to get consultants. So the consultants are always in stillness, harnessing ideas and concepts and genius ways of handling the thing. And you are so busy out there, when you short ideas, you run to the consultant. Okay, when you go do this, the consultant is not there. He is not going to see the project. He doesn't know what is happening. But you come to him and he can tell you exactly what you have to go and do for the work to be successful. And you go and apply it and it works. You and the consultant who harnesses more energy and who is bringing the change. You the one taking the action, and the one who is giving you the idea to implement for the action to be relevant, who is causing a change, is the one in stillness that is causing a change. And this is what a lot of people doesn't know. So sometimes something will be happening, you'll be talking to her, I'll be quiet. And sometimes my wife is fond of passing that comment. But it's not about action, but it's about going inside and stillness, getting the right idea and how to act appropriately so that you avoid errors and mistakes. Because when you act out of extempo, what happens is that you do a lot of errors. And that is why most fire elements people, they are prone in doing a lot of errors, because they leap before they look. You understand? Because they leap before they look. So basically, that is what happens when it comes to the pineal gland. You must always learn to go inside in stillness to get a lot of insight before you embark on any project, before you embark on any marriage, before you embark on any relationship. Before you must seek insight. And the reason why a lot of people are making mistakes in their businesses, they are engaging in wrong partnership, they are engaging in wrong marriages, they are engaging in wrong activities, is because they lack insight. When you don't have no insight about the man, then you go ahead and marry them. They go to marriage consultants, or what they call them, marriage counselors, and these marriage counselors have no insight themselves. So they educate you, or they counsel you based on external psychological factors. You have to be patient when you go into marriage. Who knows that he must not be patient when he has to go into marriage? When you go, you have to love your husband. If he doesn't love the man, he has to, why did he bring the man that he wants to marry him? You're not the one to tell the person you must love him. You must cook for him. When you love somebody, you won't always make the person to be belly full. Nigerian man will talk. You are not the one to tell the person to always cook for the husband, because he knows he loves the person. Because anybody that loves somebody wants to care, because love gives care. So at that level of infatuation or infatuative love, where the person is in that high dimension of ecstasy and all those things, he knows all those things already. And even when the person has not married, she goes to the house and do them already, goes to wash, goes to cook, and take him out. So you are not to advise him on those. She knows already. And you are not the one to tell the man when you are leaving, chop money on the table, because when he has not even married him, he's helping her, sorting her. When it comes to give her transportation, so you are not the one. You are not the one to say that when they go to outing or they go to party, when they are coming, hold their handbag. When they are in love at their courtship level, they hold their bags for them already. So all these things are not relevant. When the person brings somebody to you as a counselor, it is because the person does not know and have enough insight with regard the person he's working with or he wants to marry. And it comes to you as a specialist to have insight. Who is this person? What is his strength? What is his weakness? How do I handle his strength? How do I handle his weakness? What are the probability of certain things that may happen alongside in the marriage? 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. You should be able to predict through the person's personality that this is he looks before he leaves, he's a little bit quick-tempered, he's that. Based on person's personality, you should be able to read the person's personality and then tell the wife that anytime your husband is annoyed, do A, B, C, D, the anger will go off. You understand? Anytime your husband is unhappy, do A, B, C, D, this thing will go off. So basically, that is how it has to work. You get it? That is how it has to. So if you do not know these things and don't have insight to these things, this is how come a lot of people are having a lot of marital issues. You have children. You don't know the personality of your children. And if you don't know the personality of your children, what is going to happen is that the children will be doing certain things and you are going to use the wrong yardstick to train these children. And when you use the wrong yardstick to train the children, at the end of the day, when the children grow up, they become wayward because you do not have insight with regards to that child's personality. And to be able to harness all this insight to make your life balanced and to live a more trouble-free life and to handle any issue that may erupt in your life journey, you must be able to develop that part of your personality, which is the insight. And that has to do with the pineal gland. And what blocks the pineal gland is illusion. So do not get yourself fantasized with things that are unnecessary. Because illusions are things that are unnecessary. Fantasies that are unnecessary that you possess, that you have. Those are illusions. And these are things you need to deal with as a person. So when you're able to develop your pineal gland and develop your understanding and insight, then what is going to happen is that you will be able to block your illusions. You get the whole thing. So the whole issue has to do with dealing with the energy centers, so that you don't engage in activities that kind of blocks the energy center. Because when you are engaged in activities that block this energy center, what is going to happen is that it's going to block out the flow of the current that will give you insight. And once the flow of the current that gives you insight is blocked, you will be trapped in illusion, because you buy and get yourself meddled with anything you see, feel, or experience. And to have clarity and to have a tranquil mind and clarity of mind, you should be able to block out all elusive thoughts and be able to have clear insight. And to be able to have clear insight, you must be able to develop or activate your pineal gland, and then you have better understanding. Now, when we should move from the pineal gland, the last we're going to talk about today, that will bring us to the end of this topic, is the crown energy center. That is here, the crown energy center. And this crown energy center is the center where energy flows from to the body, to the human body. It's the center where energy flows from to the human body. So what happens is that at the time of birth, this crown is always open and it's breathing. Every child has this thing happening, it's breathing. The crown is open, it's breathing. And as long as the crown is breathing, that child is eternally connected to the source. So rather an infant, a toddler lying in the cradle, we call it baby cot. Okay, lying in the cradle, and the cradle will be swinging, he'll be smiling sometimes. And that child cannot hear, he cannot see. Yet he'll be smiling. What makes him smile? At a certain point of time, the child will be crying. Or sometimes the child will shout. What make that child cry or shout? Certain fearful energy has passed through the crown. Let me use the word, certain demonic entities has passed through the crown. If children can speak, they'll tell you they are demons. Unlike the popular belief of certain religious teachers and all those things, and spiritual teachers say that there's none like demons, there's none like Satan. They are there. The children see them a lot. And when the angelic ministry come and the angels are, experiencing that angelic sweet countenances, you see the baby, the toddler will be lying in the cradle and it will be smiling. Have you ever seen a toddler, a 2 weeks, 3 weeks old toddler, even 1 week old toddler, asleep and lying down? All of a sudden, you see that the toddler is smiling. The mothers know what I'm talking about. Sometimes 1 week old baby will be lying in the baby cot or the toddler on the bed, asleep, but you see the child smiling. Sometimes they give a very wide smile and a wide laugh. What is making them laugh? But these are toddlers that cannot relate to the external world. They don't see anything which is going on around them. They don't hear anything which is going on around them. And yes, they are asleep and they are smiling. Widely smiling or laughing. Because they have their connection with divinity. There's angelic ministration. Their guardian angels are ministering to them. Sometimes singing for them. Because the crown is constantly open at that time. After 8 days, when you are given an identity, of a material identity, what does the name is, and what it does that it twists your attention outside. The very day they give you a physical identity, a physical name, bam, that is the beginning of the twisting of your attention from the inner connection to the outer connection. The people begin to call you Kwame. Then people Kwame. Then as the senses begin to develop, you begin to disconnect. And after a couple of weeks or months, you realize that when you put your hand there, that place is no more breathing. It's closed. The breathing will stop. It will close totally. Once it is closed, you become disconnect. In thought, as I said, you become disconnected in thought. So the essence of all this spiritual journey is for you to regain your connection. As I talk to you, and even as I put my hand there, I'm feeling it is breathing. But once you have that spiritual connection, you want the crown will be open again and the breathing begin. No matter how old you are, the breathing will begin happening again. As I'm talking to you, I can feel the breathing again. Anytime I pay attention, I can begin the breathing again. And that is where you have your intuitive connection coming in and going out. And that is why sometimes you notice that the pastors, especially the bishops, what they do is that they put in some kind of orange or some kind of blue cap or some kind of wine cap or some kind of white cap here. And sometimes when you see the how do you call them, the activities getting me distracted. With too much activity gets me distracted. I understand what you are doing, so allow me. When I'm connected, disconnecting, so I don't know. So, how do you call it? The Kabbalist, the Jewish high priest. You see that they also have this white thing over here. You see the Muslims also have it. Then you see the Christians, the charismatics also have it. Then the Orthodox also have it. Why do they all have that? They are headmen, the bishops and the archbishop and the cardinal. Why do you have it there? They don't. Do you ask them for them to explain to you? That is the symbol. They want to tell you that their crown is open. Because that's the symbol of the crown. But it is nothing external. You understand? They are imagining external opening of the crown, but they are not there yet. Because when the crown is open, you will feel it. You don't need to put a cap there. And actually, when the crown is open, you don't have to put on cap. You don't have to put on cap. That's what I mean when somebody is scrubbing my hair, I will not allow you to put your hand on my head like this. I won't allow you. Even my son, I won't allow you to put my hand. My wife, I don't allow you to put your hand over my head. I won't allow you. And that is why it is not good for you to allow somebody to lay hands on your head. We call it impartation. It can transmit energy into you. And that energy is not wholesome energy because it is its own energy. So if you are not fortunate and the person's energy is not divine, you are going to be corrupted with the person's energy. And his energy can control your energy. They call it impartation. It's another form of witchcraft. I'm not saying that is witchcraft. I'm saying that the witches also does the same thing. So when we are doing connection for you, for me to open your crown, what you would not know is there's something that I will do internally that neutralizes my energy. So I become like an empty copper wire. So that my energy will not interfere with your energy because you are not doing impartation. Once I put my hand here and I conceive an idea, any thought I have, whether it is good, bad, genuine, whatever it is, and I put my hand there, it will sink through it. And it becomes your person. And that is why pastors who kind of ordain other pastors, those pastors they ordain become their subservient. And when those pastors they ordain revolt against them, they have bad happenings because of the impartation of the energy. So when you are doing connection and it is time for the sound frequency for the crown to be open, before I put my hand, I don't want your energy and I don't want you to have my energy because I need my energy for myself and you need your energy for yourself. They are training session we've gone through, and then there are certain things I would say in my head, certain prayers I would recite the prayer in my head. As soon as I recite the prayer in my head and I finish reciting those words, I neutralize my thoughts. Once I neutralize my thoughts, I become like a copper wire. I don't know if you've touched a live electric wire before. As you see there, you can touch live electric wire without any thought frequency and without a grinding. Okay? When you touch a live electric wire and you neutralize your thought, the live current can flow through you. Then the whole body will be electrocuted as electricity. When they use electric tester to touch your body, the tester will switch light. When you use bulb and wire cable to touch your body, the bulb will come on. This is something I've done when I was in Accra. We've done it so many times. It was a competition we were doing. And I have done it many times. You understand? But by the time you stretch your hand, you feel the vibration, you feel the magnetic field of the cable, you feel the magnetic field. But make sure you are grounded well so that you don't have contact with it. When you have contact with it, it will shock you out. And that's why you have to wear insulators. So when a very good insulator, and then I don't know, it magnetizes, the electricity will magnetize you. A certain distance, the power will pull you up. And that's why most people who are shocked by power, it pulls them in. See, so when you are at the time the power is dragging you, if you can neutralize your mind and the power drags you and you hold the power, you neutralize. Before your hand touches the wire, the electric current has neutralized your flow of the magnetic field in your body. So by the time you touch the wire, you neutralize, the whole body will be electrocuted. When another person like Abraham touches me, he will be shocked. If he's not wearing slippers and he touches me with his hand, the power will shock him out. And anything which needs 220 volts to turn it on, when they use that thing to touch my body, it will ignite. So when we say we are conduits, electric conduits or electromagnetic conduit field, it is true. This I'm talking about. I'm not talking about theory. I'm talking about my own, that I have done it before. So this is how it works. So the power flow in from the crown and goes down to the very base chakra, and then that becomes the control of your personality field. So your personality, that is coming from the crown, which is the master control of your personality, the energy that controls all of your personality, to the crown, to the heart, to the solar plexus and sacral chakra base, to the base. What happens is that the energy flows from here, split into duality, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere of the brain. Then it has to connect through here. Then it comes here, down. Likewise, when the energy is flowing, it flows here, comes here, come here, then it goes here, then you connect back to the source. This is the whole journey of true spirituality. But from the crown or near crown chakra and below is personality development. It is not true spiritual practice or ascension. So from the crown, from the pineal gland down, even the crown chakra is part of it. The reason I don't want to talk about the crown, because it says something like a gateway, the exit point, and then the incoming flow of the energy. That's what I don't want to talk about. So let's take it from here. The pineal gland all downwards to the base chakra, then into physical manifestation. They are all not real true spirituality, but they are part of the personality that has a degraded form of the true essence, which is the true spirit or the true source. So basically, that is what the crown chakra is. And the crown chakra deals with transcendence. That's why I told you I don't want to talk about it. I literally consider it as part of the personality, because it's between the personality and then your spiritual essence. So it is transcendent. That's where we transcend. So before you can transcend and have true spiritual experiences, you must be able to transcend the intellect. And at that level, what the energy that flows in, we call it the cosmic frequency or the cosmic current. So that's why, as I told you, the cosmic current flow through the pineal gland, the crown chakra, and then split into two. And then what actually kills that aspect of our energy center, or that opposes the flow of the cosmic current, is ego. We all know what ego is. Ego. Okay, now local language, we call it pride. You understand? But pride is more physical, it's more dense. Ego is more finer, it's more subtle, but it is much more stronger than pride, because pride is very obvious. Pride is very evident. People can read pride when it's happening. But sometimes ego is very subtle, and ego is like some kind of energy of I-ness and supremacy over other entities. That is egoism. Okay, who are you to talk to me that way? The person may not even say it, but his countenance and his actions tells you that he looks down upon you. That is ego, the I-ness. Everything centered on the I-ness. That is, so the ego is synonymous to the word I am. Okay, so the I am we have is also another dimension altogether of knowledge, and that is the highest realm of egoism. So when you see any religion talking I am, it's all about egoism. It's at the apex of transcendence, and it is from that level that now you can go into the beingness, where the beingness has no identity. I have an identity, because I is personified. I is identified, so it has an identity. But beingness is sublime, it's omnipresent, it's formless, it's abstract in nature, and it's not concrete. But the I is concrete in nature, while the beingness is abstract in nature. So it is from the I, which is the highest. That's why we have the I am spiritual group, Center for Spiritual. I know those days, the I am present within me. They are talking about the concrete being, and then from there you go to the abstract, which is the absolute, which has no concrete form. So basically, this is how it is like. So when you have ego within you, and that self-centered I-ness comes into play, then your level of transcendence, your ability to transcend into the awareness, then becomes limited or becomes obstructed or become problematic. So basically, this is the 7 energy centers in the body that kind of contributes to the development of our personality, and then in the final climax culminate into our spiritual ascension, so that we attain that kind of self-realization. When it's self-realization, we're talking about that our absolute abstract beingness, without form, without limit, without beginning, without end, which is one and all, which is nothing, yes, yet it is everything. So this is what we have for the functions of our energy centers in our personal development. So if you want to develop the personality, what you need to do is you should understand these things from the very word go till the time you get to the age of 49 years. From 42 to 49 years deals with the crown. And that is where people begin to ask cosmic questions, spiritual. At that age that people begin to embark on their spiritual journey, begin to ask questions which are more than just material dimension, material existence, material life. Some people's own start a little bit earlier, like some of us always start a little bit earlier because due to the fact that we have certain earthly mission we need to accomplish, so we need to learn some of this earlier. But the point is that most people, it starts around this time when they begin to ask certain relevant questions beyond physical existence and what is this life for? When you die, what happens to us, and all those things. So this is the various steps. So when you have a child and you are developing your child, you know how to develop your child. And you as a person, how the question somebody has, so how do I apply this thing? That's what I'm teaching you how to apply. You as a person listening to this video, you should be able to identify where your energy is blocked. You don't need me to tell you where your energy is blocked, because if you're very attentive and really listening to this video, you can identify that, okay, then I have problem with my sacral chakra or my sacral energy center, because why always you have the sense of guilt. Now you're feeling guilty. Something small happens and then it is normal, it's a mistake you have done, then you can have a whole source of guilt engrossing you, and you feel so guilty about something that is nothing to feel guilty about. That means that your sacral chakra is weak. That means it's something, if you want, you can work on it. For instance, you are somebody, the slightest thing you are afraid. The slightest thing you're afraid, that means that it is telling that your root chakra or your base chakra is weak. So you don't need somebody to come and tell you that your chakra is weak, this your chakra is weak. You, based on this chart I've given you, can assess your life flow and your pattern, and you know where exactly you have problem with your chakras, and you can now begin to work on them. Maybe in subsequent videos I'll talk about how to improve your chakra, but even with the recommendation, I've talked about certain pleasure, willpower, love, truth, insight, and all those things. You begin to practice all those things. So if your base chakra is weak, then you try to avoid things that are fearful and try to give yourself courage and all the fundamentally. That's not all there is, but you begin to give yourself courage and all those things. If you're somebody that the slightest thing you feel ashamed, you understand? And there are some people who feel ashamed of themselves to the extent that they try to, maybe they pay me once, me we are problem, they go to party, for me I don't want to eat. A comedian is also one person I don't want to eat. He's feeling shy. He's feeling shy because his solar plexus is weak. So that when you're somebody that you feel shy easily, it tells you that you have a weak solar plexus, which is here. So such people, when they sit in a car on a mountain, or let's say go to a plane, it drops and say they feel so sim. And I'm going to plane drop out to say sim. That means the solar plexus is weak. Such people, anytime something happens, you give them bad news, quickly, either they will have stomach upset. The solar plexus is weak. I was once a victim. I was out there be now you macau. You understand? At that time we were not married. They say we be now you macau. Because that time I had weak solar plexus. You understand? Because that time I stopped the work and I do my spiritual practice. I know man, I send back my face count to send back. Then time you come and say me busy count. You understand? But when I started work and I started doing things, man, when you come, that solar plexus is now active. So when I'm listening to it, after next can I go to you? Or it's about spiritual prayer. I know what to do when it demands spirituality. I know what to do and where to contact. And when it's about finances, maybe I'm not saying, but I can also make a small effort. You understand? So when you are somebody who have that problem, you should know that this is the problem you have. Now, when you are somebody that it's the slightest thing, people can be they become so grieved. There are some people, just about with this 6-7 years, or yeah, they are he or she will grieve as if opinion I and idea. When you see him quarreling with the bucket what to say, the bucket on or your opinion, he has discretional ability. Maybe 6 years, 7 years. You see someone as young as 3-4-year-old, you know, they know quarrel or quine chain. That shows you how weak they are with their heart chakra. There are some people, there are some people. Telling a lie is normal. Listen, something will happen right now. He can create the story and narrate it as if he has taken him 10 years to sit down and plan a script. That's why the person has a weak throat chakra. You understand? So you can formulate, just say, I try no credit to me kind of credit, as if no credit any enemy. But it all happens at the microscopic level, very tiny level, and as you engage and do it, it develops gradually, and becomes huge. And then there are some people who lack understanding, they don't have insight. That means they are disconnected. Their pineal gland is disconnected, they activate. There's a business opportunity. You're talking to our business, they will be thinking of different things. And then at the end, everybody is seeing the opportunity here. He will be or she will be making arguments and doing all those things too. And you will say, what does all these things got to do with it? It normally happens in a lot of business meetings and business engagements. You see one person where there's board meeting there's a business opportunity, the person will be asking questions, and the issue is just simple and straightforward. No, it's happening, but if you understand, if you know this thing, then you can simply what the person knows. The person has a weak pineal gland. And now most of these people have that weak insight and they live in a realm of illusion. The danger in it is that in that people's own space, they feel they're very intelligent because they live in that realm of elusive consciousness. So they think that what they know is everything. But while you see that the thing is happening, it is clear. You understand? So they will be coming out with theories and ideologies and principles to prove their point. And I didn't know kind of if he's the board director or the CEO of the company, or he is sitting on the listing, he will be saying also, by the end of the day, you have insight, look at this. No. What is my saying? It doesn't make sense. It will not bring any profit. But you sugarcoat it and present in such a way that if somebody who is outside, who is weak, and he hasn't got that insight, that he will align with that, and then when they cast votes, they will know that they will when they vote on the matter, they will have the majority vote. And while you have the insight, you lose out, the company will go and implement it, and anything will fail. Because the reason be that in life, majority of people are living in the realm of illusion. Majority of people don't have insight. It's only very few people who have an active pineal gland and they have insight. You get the whole thing. So sometimes the will of the majority is not necessarily the will of God. You understand? And the majority vote in parliament doesn't mean it's something which is right. And that's some of the problems you have. Your parents say, oh, we just vote. Hey, then a lot of people don't have insight. So when they do, they vote. Then that's why our countries are in a mess. You get the whole thing. But you see, one man is saying something. This thing is what the nation has to implement. But they don't want to listen. And the majority of people who have no insight, let's vote in parliament. They vote. Go and take the loan. Then they go and take them. They come and chop the loan. These are the issues. And then when we come to that level of the crown, how do you know your crown is active or your crown is closed? Your inability to access cosmic current. Your inability to access cosmic current to be able to live that selfless life without I-ness. You understand? Hey, Rana, I'm the managing director, so I don't eat at the roadside. Hey, no, I don't have to walk. Okokrum kra na ne car say kra na oniska kra so offer dropping by na say offering na for on find the car and born position is that level of I-ness. It tells you that look. Now the person is not the irrespective person. And I know a lot of spiritual teachers and you see that thing around them that their crown is closed because they have created standards and levels for themselves and don't want to compromise the standards and level. And sometimes they have to live pretentious life in order to project themselves. So watch these highly enlightened rich people. Bill Gates will come, he never put on tie, he has his long sleeves, his shirt folded, always on white top, simple. And you see the black guy with that I-ness thing, he gets some small money, put on blinks and all those things, and it all tells you how people behave and why people are behaving the way. You can easily read into the meaning of people. So sometimes some of these things you don't need to be an enlightened soul, or you don't need to be a soothsayer to be able to tell people's character and where their weaknesses are. You can just watch. I was watching he may call himself spiritual master, or they may call him spiritual. I was watching them, and when I look at the way they kind of their posture in dressing and their countenance and all those, and ask yourself, is this person really enlightened as a spiritual master? Because the way the people, even the way they want to carry themselves in terms of material titles, tells you that there's a problem. Hey, Bishop Duncan. Hey, Bishop Act. You ask yourself, what's the problem? Because to an enlightened mind, who the crown is open and is connected to that infinite intelligence, you realize all these things does not matter. They are inferior. What change does it bring into your life? There will be one friend a doctor, problem for you. One friend a bishop, problem for you. One friend a Hindi tatilamana, problem for you. You have disrespected him. You understand? All these things tell you the level and the problem of them. But meanwhile, you see the same people telling people that they will heal their chakras for them. And you look at the person, so the person is having a problem with his own chakras. So there are so many things we need to learn. So some of these things, take your time, watch the video, look at the various age brackets that I've given, and then assess what you're. And when you assess, you realize that a child who is fearful, his childhood was taken from that child. Akwala who feels fearful of insensibility at that age, we said at that age bracket, if you had that victim, at that age bracket, that was when Akwala will say, oh yeah, shameful, he feels shame of himself, of his personality. Normally, when he's at the age of 14 to 21 years, he comes from a family where they use his image to insult him. So gradually, so at that level, that's the level that they begin to send you at 12, 13 years, they begin to send you and all those things. And then they'll be using this thing to insult you. So as the slightest thing you do, they use your personality to insult you. The slightest thing you do, use your personality to insult you. Something about your personality to insult you. Then what happens? Gradually, they're depleting that self-will. Then gradually, you become ashamed of yourself. Then the person begins to hide his identity. You go back, and then they will say, and meanwhile, you see somebody very ugly, but when he says out there, as if he's the most beautiful woman in the hall, and so it tends to. There was somebody who was telling me, I think it's Mr. Nyansan or something. He was telling me that, I've forgotten who the person is. There was this girl who refused to go out because a teacher in the world school or something like that told him that his nose is big. Just that statement alone made he refused to go outside. And even the family thought that maybe she's owing somebody, so when she goes outside, the person will ask for the money. So they have to. Yes. It's one of my psychology classes I just started recently. I remember who said it. It's one of my psychology teachers who said it. And then she said that because of that, they thought something was wrong with the girl. Until they brought the girl to her for counseling, and she was able to unearth that her problem is that because her childhood she has been told that her nose is big, and then now that she's adult, he was playing with her daughter's teachers, and the teachers passed the same comment, and then the whole accumulation of that effect came re-energized itself, re-galvanized itself, and then she couldn't go to public. They said for years she couldn't go into public. This is the level. And when I started psychology, I begin to understand the effect of some of these things that I'm teaching and how it is really affecting people's life. You understand? So these are the things you can work with. So once you see these areas, you can easily overcome them because you know what blocks it and what flows from the energy center and what counters the energy center. You can start with that. It is enough to unblock your chakra. At a certain point, I was a fearful person because why? Growing up, I saw a lot of bad things happen. You understand? And then now traveling to school, every time I travel, I'll see people dying on the road. That time the road was very slim and there was always accident. I go to school. It got to a time when they vacate at school. To board STC and come back to Accra was a problem for me. I was afraid that something was going to happen in the car because I saw so many dead people along the road when I started. That it began to affect my root energy center. That they vacate and I will be still. Sometimes my father has to come to travel there and come and pick me home. But got to a time by grace, this whole thing subsided. I decided to go, Master, if I would die, I would die. Just that notion came to Master, if you die, if you're in the room, you will die. That was all. What my father told me, this is what my father delivered me from. He said, look, there was a woman, and I'll end on this story. He said there was a woman whose husband was knocked down by a car. So she decided never to take her again because she was engulfed in that fear. So one day, When she's walking and she's a car, she will run to the other side of the road. They said one day she was in her room. It was a wooden room at my property. She was in a room eating, and a car filled brake. The car jumped the gutter, swerved through all the buildings, and then entered the very wooden structure she stayed in. And when they took her from the accident, she was put in the car and drove her back to the hospital. So my father told, look, she only had that thing because constantly she's been thinking of that evil. And as every day she told it began to harness that energy. And that woman needed counseling as at the time. She needed counseling. So she harnessed that energy in her thought to the level that now it came into manifestation. As my father told me that story, I said, well, what will happen? I said, and since that day up to now, that fear was gone. Nobody, I didn't work, I didn't know it. Once I had that fear, that energy said that was clear. And up to now, I don't fear anything. You understand? So this is how sometimes you don't need anything. Yeah, there are other ways, bath and the other ways they talk to help for me. I don't know, but that is how it works. It's a conscious awakening and a conscious awareness, becoming conscious of the problem and trying to address the problem. The energy will naturally go away. So this is where I'll draw the curtain for today. So going forward, maybe from time to time I'll be taking one of them and see some of the exercises and the trainings you can be doing and all those things to get that activated. But I will be taking the pineal gland as a topic that we started some time ago. I did the introduction. I'm going to take it as a topic and we're going to train the pineal gland in deep. Then we're going to take the magnetic field, which is controlled by the water element and is controlled by the pituitary gland. We're going to treat it in deep, so how we can use it for our day-to-day activities and some of the exercises we need to do and all this alongside with it. I just want to thank you for everything. For those who want to join our platform, it's on your screen. Send HMK to the number on your screen, 0243732861. Please also share our social media handle to all the friends and family around you. This is for free. We are teaching it for free. So help humanity develop. This is what we need. All other things are secondary matter. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness. And they say the kingdom of God is in you. So seek ye first the knowledge about yourself and everything which is right about you. And all other things will be added. So all other things you do, all these rituals, killing animals, bathing tamils and all those, they are not bad, they are okay. But they are secondary to this knowledge. When you don't get this knowledge and don't align this energy, you bath all these things and still the problem will persist. But when you're able to align the energy and you engage in all other things, then it becomes a plus. So share to people, advise people to join and all those things. Tell them it's free. Nobody's taking money here. It is free. If you want to assist us in donation, then you can do so with the number on your screen, and then you donate to support us. If you don't have the means to donate to support us, and then you still want to participate in our program, then you just switch on to the number to HMK to the number on your screen. Send us WhatsApp HMK to the number on your screen, and we are going to add you to the group. God bless you, and thank you very much for your time. I hope to meet you next Wednesday. We are going to look at a different topic, which we are going to go deeper into the pineal gland. Stay blessed and stay loved.